Hello. So, Worlds is just 2 days away, and well, now more than ever is the time to make some predictions. Um, in this video, I'm going for play-in predictions mainly, and then have some speculations for the group stage and Worlds in general. But this heavily depends on the performance of some play-in teams. Because if I assume a play-in team does really well, and then in play-ins already they struggle against the wildcard regions, then obviously they would perform worse in group stage, and by that I mean they would probably be fourth, unless they figure themselves out again and push through. So yeah, for play-in, we have two groups this time. As you all know, we have a different format than the Worlds before. In Group A, we have Mad Lions, Team Liquid, Legacy, INTZ, and Supermassive. And in Group B, we have LGD, PSG, UL, V3, and Rainbow 7. So, if you're not sure about the format, each team will play each other once, and then depending on the standings after that, teams will play against each other in best of 5 formats. And out of all the teams I named so far, 4 teams will move on to the group stages and will go into the groups. But more to that at a later point. So, I think we should start with Group B, as I think it has the most speculations in it. So the first seed of each group directly moves on to the group stage without playing any best of 5. I assume this will be LGD. They are the best team in play-ins by far, in my opinion. They have the best players in the key positions. Like their mid jungle is like one of the best in the whole play-ins, and even at the whole tournament, their mid jungle Peanut and Shie are really strong and should not be underestimated just because they are the 4th seed of China. So I will put them in first place for Group B, moving them directly into the group stage and into Group C. The question now is who will be second, and then later who will be third and fourth. The 5th place will play no best of 5 and will be directly eliminated from competition. So, the question for Group B is, in my opinion, PSG Talon and Unicorns of Love. Which one of these is the stronger team and be able to get that second place with a probably easier opponent in the best of 5. We haven't seen much of the PCS, right? It's their first year after the SEA and the LMS merged together. So I'm not really sure what we can expect from this. I've watched their finals and a few highlight videos. It looked okay. It looked fine at some points. PCS teams obviously have the opportunity to scrim with some Chinese teams, and I heard I think it was from Marchi, some players there even reached masters in Korean solo queue with really high ping. So these players are really talented, but the major problem for MSG Talon is, I think it's 3 players. They're jungler, mid laner, and AD carry. well, because of visa issues, they won't be able to play probably in all of lanes. And yeah, that's a massive deal. If 3 out of your out of your 5 players aren't there for lanes, yeah, that's more of a solo queue team. Even though they're really talented, so it's the players they get for the play-ins are Kangyun and Uniboy from HQ Esports, and even their AD carry Unified. Um, he's from Hong Kong. Maybe there's some issue there. He can't play. And D from Marchi Esports, the team which is in the main event, right there, the first seed of the PCS. There's their substitute AD carry. He's loaned from Marchi, so they have just Kai Wing. He's also from Hong Kong, so I'm not sure if it's related to their origin. And Hanabi are the only 2 players from PSG who will be able to play at Worlds. Kai Unified, Tank, and River are not playing as of now, right? We're not sure when the visa issue will be fixed and when they will be able to return to play. But as of now, the chances don't look good. I think for play-ins, they will have to play with these 3. And I'm not sure on the regulations if they're allowed to swap the players back afterwards. I think maybe they can make an exclusion for this because it's not the team's fault per se. But I'm not. I don't know all of the details, so I'm not too sure on this. So usually, because of the LMS great skill and even the SEA was improving over the last year, I would have put them in second maybe, but well, then Unicorns of Love came, and Unicorns of Love or Vega Squadron, it's the same roster, just all the players moved on to Unicorns. Yeah, I already talked about them in my plain introduction video. You should check that out. I will link it into the description. They have a really good track record this year. Like, I think they only lost like 3 games of 4. And yeah, they should be way better than this PSG squad out of random players. There shouldn't be any language barriers for PSG. It's not like that, but it's still like the mid jungle are a duo, right? Uniboy and Kongyu played on the same squad, so that's not the issue. But they're still with an unfamiliar top laner. AD carry and support are not accustomed to each other. The whole team synergy with shot calling and maybe even draft is unclear. It's really sad, but yeah, this year's Worlds is it's sadly for the 10-year anniversary Worlds. It's a clusterfuck. Like, we don't get SKT, we don't get Vietnam, we don't get Cloud9, and even like a team like PSG can't even send 3 out of their 5 players to Worlds. But enough about that. I will put you second. They should be the best wildcard team around, and the SEA, or let's say the PSE or LMS didn't look that great the last years. So yeah, LGD UL PSG. Question is who will be the 4th and less last relevant seed. Question is it V3 or Rainbow 7? Both V3 is the first time for them to represent Japan, and Rainbow 7, although this org is like the most successful in Latin America. They have a team of mostly rookies. Yeah, I believe more in V3 because even though it's their first time international, this international event is more of a home event, so I don't think they will get nervous. Or the environment is really unusual for them. Also, Japan is a region that was improving over the years. Latin America, not that much. And yeah, they are able to scrim Korean teams and Chinese teams, like bottom, right? Not the high end top teams, but the bottom Korean teams, I think, are scrimming them. So yeah, these teams should be on a higher level than last year. So I have my faith in V3 that they will make the fourth place in the Group B. So what's going on in Group A? I think that is debatable. So first or second is really tough. Mad Lions, Team Liquid, an EU team and then an A team. TL in a bit of a slump, and Mad Lions, yeah, they're not doing that well either. They had a really good summer split, similarly to Team Liquid. But then when playoffs came around, Mad Lions like fell like 5 feet deep into the water, and yeah, they haven't made their resurgence yet. So even though I really respect Karsi and Kaiser, they really look damn strong. And if I remember correctly, they're already challenger in the Super Server as well, or further underlining their mechanical skill. I have not much faith in the rest of the team. Humanoid, many were praising him, but yeah, I'm not sure if he has the consistency for such a tournament. And additionally, I think Jensen is just better. Shadow, he really looked good on Lee Sin at the beginning of summer, but then meta changed a bit and he was not able to adapt, right? It's now more pathing focused, right? To get your AP carries in the right spots and not just skirmishing. Well, if the meta stays similar to what it was a few months and weeks ago. So yeah, Shadow is not was not that good in that type of meta. And Roman is like, yeah, he's decent. In contrast, Team Liquid, Jensen, Core JJ, Impact, like they bring lots and lots of experience. Like Tactical is like the rookie, obviously. Core JJ, like I'm not sure when he started playing. I think it was 2017. In his rookie split, he went to Worlds and became champion. Jensen is here for like 4 or 5 years now. Broxer is not a rookie, but he's rather fresh, but also went to a Worlds Finals 2018, and Impact, also world champion from 2013, has been around for quite a bit. So yeah, I think their experience and the consistency of most of their players, like Impact and Core JJ, are really consistent. Jensen, unless he tries to clap someone, is also doing rather fine. And they have Rocks and Tactical are a bit of a variance, but I think with the whole team is more solid than Mad Lions at the moment. So I will give Team Liquid the first place and bye into the group stage. As of now, we can't be sure in which group they will slide, but I have obviously my prediction for that. The Mad Lions in second. Question is now who's third or fourth. And I give the third place to Supermassive. Turkey is, in my opinion, the second or even best wildcard region, right? Like Vietnam is not a wildcard region anymore. They're now an established region, I would say. Like they're the four major regions, right? Europe, NA, China, and Korea. And then there are like two smaller regions. I'm not sure how to like name them, but that's the PCS, like before the LMS, and Vietnam now, right? Both have two spots at Worlds usually, if Vietnam would arrive. And then afterwards, it's the CIS, and then it's Turkey. The CIS just recently being that great, Turkey always delivering since like 2015. So yeah, super massive in contrast to Brazil, who weren't doing that great in the last international events, and Oceania, who weren't really that great at like most times in history. I have to give the edge to Supermassive and give them the third seed. And then the question is INTZ or Legacy Esports. I was really not sure about this, but I gave it to Legacy Esports because they were like the most consistent team this year. Even though the mid laner of INTZ Envy is really strong, but there wasn't the consistency for INTZ. They were underperforming in spring, and then I think it was third what they were in summer. That's okay, but that's not world class level, right? Legacy was smurfing in Oceania, like to similar extent. Unicorns were dominating the CIS, so I have to give it to Legacy. So yeah, what do these standings now mean? So first places go directly into groups, just like I said. The second places are waiting for now, and the third will play a best of 5 against the fourth. So for Group B, this would be PSG versus V3 in my prediction. And for Group A, it's Supermassive against Legacy. So who do you think would win these? I went always with the higher seed. I think that's the most reasonable, and I also gave them the higher seed because of the team being better than the other. I am not factoring in like best of one randomness, because that's a whole new box which could be opened at any point, right? Like maybe they come with an OP pick no one knew about, like Pike Top back then, or Leona with Feather, MF support, like these unique pocket picks that heavily defined games and screwed them in the favor of a more weaker team. Yeah, I'm not factoring in this random nature. So because of that, I will always give the higher seed the win in the best of 5. I think that's the most reasonable approach, and unless in later stages of this prediction the higher seed got the seed by some other means than skill, I will give the higher seed the win. Meaning PSG and Supermassive will win against V3 and Legacy. And what does that mean? The winner of the best of 5 in Group A will face the second seed or the second place in Group B. In this example, I have Supermassive winning against Legacy, and by that they will face Unicorns of Love of Group B in the best of 5. In the other sense, PSG would face Mad Lions. So, as I already said, I will always give the higher seed the win, meaning these best of 5 would have been won by Mad Lions and Unicorns of Love respectively. This concludes the play-ins with LGD, TL, Mad Lions and Unicorns of Love making it out. Once again, there's a good chance for PSG, right? The team shouldn't be bad. They had really close series against Marchi, and their players looked fine, but it's not likely. I have really low hope for them with the circumstances they're in. It's really sad. It's really sad, but I have no hopes for them. So now for Worlds. These 4 teams now have to go into groups. So LGD is always in Group C because Group C is the only group without a Chinese team, and they can't be 2 Chinese teams in one group. So LGD has to go in C. Mad Lions has to go in D because of similar reasons. There only can be 1 EU team per group, and in every other group there's already a European team. Then the question is for URL and TL. Group A and B are still left open, and in both groups there is neither a CIS or a North American team. So I went with TL in A and URL in B simply because in the scenario where PSG could perform, right? That's not likely, but PSG might be the one here instead of URL. This is a really slim prediction, and it's a little factor, but it's the only thing I have. If PSG makes it, then PSG would go into Group B because they can be in the same group as Marchi, which is in Group A. Would mean TL goes in Group A. That means in many scenarios, or like in the most scenarios, maybe possible, TL ends up in Group A. And this would mean that URL would be more likely to be in Group B. This is just theoretical, it doesn't mean anything, and just one change in my predictions could change this positioning. But to be honest, I'm not sure that this would change anything in the results of the group stage. So I go with TL in Group A, UL in Group B, LGD in Group C, and Mad Lions in D. So now I haven't seen LGD, TL, Mad, or UL play at the moment. So unless UL is hard smurfing and UL upsets LGD and is really performing, or I don't know, LGD slumping, barely getting first place or barely qualifying through planes in first place, or TL getting their shit together and hard stomping, getting undefeated play-in record every game, 15 minutes surrender for enemy team. Unless I see something like that, which is not what we expect, right? We expect LGD to be good, we expect TL to be decent, and Mad Lions as well. UL should be the best wildcard team, but they still shouldn't be as good as a major region team, right? That's what we expect, and I can't just go with that because if we look at the stats, if we look at the players, that's what it's most probable. So then I'm going to predict the group's standings now based on that, what we have seen last of the teams, right? Everything can change. That's the beauty of predictions, right? You say something, you expect something, and then in the end it can turn out entirely different. And this can be good, but this can also be bad, right? If you predict your favorite team to make it, and then they don't, yeah, that's not a prediction you want to fail. So, Group A, I have G2 in first, followed by Suning in second, followed by TL in third, and Marchi in fourth. So, Why Suning second? Might like that's the question like one person might ask. So I think Suning has a better early game than G2, and even their late game with Kramer, not with Kramer, with one thing I think. Oh, then I will look that up right now. But even their late game is not that bad, honestly. Sadly, their mid game is really strange. They get really huge early game leads, but then they take fights they shouldn't take. They have bad macro calls, and then they lose their lead. G2 is a team that really likes to punish these plays, like with their like cross map punishes, like taking multiple turrets against you if you make a misstep. And I think G2 can heavily snowball and punish these mistakes Suning will do in the mid game. But also, G2 likes to fight a lot. So if Suning gets an early game lead, G2 might just want to like outplay them or like outfight them. This is what could happen, like could really happen, and then like G2 runs into Suning, while Suning has a lead and has also really talented players like SOFM, Angel. They're not a slouch either. One thing and Bin are also really solid. So yeah, Suning could easily be first, but especially like it's a best of one, right? G2 can just have a fucking pocket pick again and cheese a game, and yeah, like I wouldn't be surprised if Suning makes it out first, but I think G2 is like more solid than that, right? They're huge coin flip in most cases, but I think like Suning's mid game is even more risky than what G2 does. So yeah, I am of the belief that G2 will be able to get first in this group. The other teams shouldn't be a problem for either of them. Like Machi looked fine, but like even though their individual prowess are not even that bad, I mean they have like players we even know, like Mission or Gemini in jungle, but still it's the whole team gap and especially G2's like explosiveness or like Suning's explosiveness is will not do them well. Like it's sad, but I don't have any faith in Machi. And yeah, TL I think they will be able to beat Machi, but they are outperformed in against Suning and against G2. If we just look at the player rosters, like Impact is good, and Impact is really solid and probably will hold the Storm a bit, but he will be on Shen duty if he gets the pick. So yeah, no, like I don't see it in the other roles as well. Like Yankos and SOFM are better than Broxer at the moment, or like a general Angel in Caps. Well, Caps is like 80% Caps and 20% Crabs. Yeah, Jensen is still like not as great as him. Angel is a similar story. One thing, and Perks have way more experience than tactical, and AD carry is not the most important role, while tactical has really good mechanics. One thing is no slouch either, and while Perks is currently inting at down bot lane, I don't think that will matter in the long term. KJJ is probably the best support still. Like Koala is okay, not really outstanding. Sword Art is really nice, at the moment, but well, he's not as good as Mr. Core JJ. Same goes for Mickey X. He's had a rather bad summer. So yeah, I've put G2 in first, Suning second, TL third, and then Machi. Going for Group B, if you remember, I put UL in there. I have Down1 in first, JDG in second, Rogue in third, and UL fourth. So in my opinion, Down1 is probably the best team at Worlds. They really have it all. And while JDG is really great and especially really strong, they rely on Kanavi way too much, I feel. Everything revolves around him. Like they pick, like they give him jungle counter picks and so on. Like that's fine and that's a good strategy. Like the same goes with RNG back then, right? Everyone was saying, like, yeah, they're one-dimensional. They're always playing around Uzi, and well, that was certainly true in most cases. It worked. The same could be true for JDG, right? Playing around Kanavi, everyone knows it and tries to punish, but Kanavi is still really strong, and yeah, that's why it doesn't work. This could happen, but I don't think that. Canyon is no slouch either. He's had a really strong summer split, and his final against DRX, he really stood up Pioshik and showed him how jungle works. Showmaker also like probably third best mid laner, but the gap in mid lane is not that high. Like Kanavi and Canyon are also like really similar skill level, I feel. If you remember my top players at Worlds, I said the top three junglers and mid laners are probably on like very similar level. Yeah, so Showmaker should be quite a bit better than Yagao. That's mainly the reason. Like JDG plays around the mid jungle duo and then snowballs that into top and bot. And okay, they even have like 3v3s with Lil Mao roaming. But even then, Canyon, Showmaker, and Barrel are really fine. Like Ghost is the role play bot laner to be left on an island there, and Nogare will get his own leads in top lane, even if it's against Zoom, who's also a really talented top laner. But even if top lane is even, I feel like Down1 will win around the map. And last year the team was like very young. There still are, but with experienced players like Flame and Nuclear now being there for a longer time, and the players themselves maturing, and now even having won the LCK, I have really high trust in Down1 and their prowess. Not that I think JDG is bad in any way. I hope I have established that fact, but I'm of the opinion that Down1 is way better. Coming for Rogue. Rogue is not bad. Like I feel Rogue is a really talented team. Hans Sama and Inspired, I think it was, are already in Korean in the challenger brackets of this Chinese super server, underlining their mechanics, as I said before. But they're heavily outclassed in every position and in every aspect against JDG and Down1. So yeah, they had no chance. Maybe they can play spoiler and with some cheese upset a game. I don't think that's very likely. Same goes for UL. Like UL could even get third here, because they could upset Rogue. Rogue is talented, yes, but don't underestimate UL. Like their team is also really solid if they play anything close to what they played last year. Yeah, this could be like a really fun matchup, Rogue against UL. But these two teams have like they have no chance getting out here. Down1 first, JDG second. The video is getting long again. Yeah, I talk quite a bit. So Group C, remember JDG comes in this group, and this group is based on around a heavy assumption. I assume JDG is really strong, and I assume JDG is able to get second place in this group. So if JGG is just doing okay against in-play-ins, I would change this. Like if Peanut and Shie are like their coordination together is like really off, then JGG is like way worse than before, right? Shie and Peanut are the core center of this team, and if they're not performing, then yeah, the whole team goes down with them more or less. Kramer is like every AD carry at the moment, just the late game insurance. As such, yeah, it would be a really interesting group, right? Double lift, Reckless, Ruler, and Kramer. Like it's the bot lane group. Still, I'm of the assumption that Shie and Peanut are probably even a better mid jungle than BDD and Clit. Cause yeah, Clit isn't looking that great. If you look at my players at Worlds ranking, I put Clit above Peanut, but later after looking up a few jungle stats like CS per minute and ganking, laning proximity, as well as watching more of JDG's playing VODs again, I changed that and I noted in the comments that I would put Peanut in Clit's spot in the 20 rankings and in the positional rankings. As such, I have really high hopes for LGD, and while this group is certainly one of the closest, I think Genji will make it at first in any case. Fnatic and TSM are not good enough to beat them. Nemesis and even Bjergsen won't get leads or like won't even win against BDD. Bjergsen can't just blind pick TF or Zillion, even if these champions are not bad. Like BDD and Clit will punish that. And yeah, top lane, Whippo, yeah, he has like this one game where he pops off. Similar story for Broken Blade. But Rascal, even though he's not the best top laner in Korea, right? In Korea, it's really hard to be a really good top laner because you're being compared to the world best at any point, right? Top laners like Nagari, Kana, Keen, Summit, and then like Doran and Rascal are just they're second tier, but like they're behind the world best, so they don't have to hide before a Whippo or a Broken Blade. They're really good as well. So yeah, in jungle, Selfmade is really good individually, but yeah, I don't think that he will like get the better of Clit, especially because jungle is not an isolated matchup. Jungle is the most team role in the game. So like if all of Clit's lanes are winning, yeah, then good luck, Selfmade. That's not how jungle works, right? If all lanes are winning, everyone knows jungle is like really tough, and you can't just win if the enemy is on a similar skill level than you. And yeah, I said all lanes are winning because I think Ruler is a better AD carry than Reckless, even though Reckless is really good. And personally, I would like I would wish like Reckless wins Worlds. Like he has such a like long career, like being so consistent and so driven all the time. But I don't think he will get out of groups this year. That's really sad. But like against Genji, they won't win against them. I think Fnatic wins against TSM. TSM will be fourth, and yeah, TSM didn't look good even though they won an A. Their series were rather close. I think it was like 3-2 series against FlyQuest and against TL. And FlyQuest and TL weren't looking good either. And it was just like Bjergsen hard carrying. That's why I put them in the top 20 list, because he was like 1v9 carrying, even though it's an A, that was rather impressive. But yeah, like I don't think you will be able to do that against better teams, and the gap in the other roles will be noticeable. Like I'm not saying like someone like Double Lift or Biofrost are bad players. It's just like Reckless Hill is saying Ruler Life and what is it, Kramer Mark? Yeah, Kramer Mark or Killua maybe are like better and have performed in the majority of this year. So yeah, don't have hopes for TSM, but this is all based on the assumption that JDG will perform as I expect them to, based on their IG performance and the Suning games, right? The Suning games were really interesting. So Suning was winning in the early game, then LGD had some really good moments in the mid game, but LGD was not like snowballing them hard enough, and then Suning got Suning got to it again. That's not every game. They played 6 games, the best of 3, the best of 5 for the third place, and then in regionals again. Suning won 6-0. But there were some like interesting games in these 6. So hurrying it up, going to Group D. Dragon X, FlyQuest, TOP, and Mad Lions. Not in that order, because I think TOP will obviously be first. They're the second, first or third, like the best second or third best team at Worlds, so they will obviously be first. Dragon X is not a bad team, but the top side is heavily lacking. Doran is not terrible, right? He's like similar to Rascal, but he's not a like world-class top laner. He's just a good top laner. Pioshik, he has mechanics. We saw that in spring, but since beginning of spring, he has been under the radar, and many even commented that he's not an LCK level jungler. Maybe that's a bit too harsh, but he's not a world-class jungler. We can all agree on that. So Chovy is like really alone there, but it's Chovy, man. This guy's so damn good. I mean, he carried Genji in the Genji series, like 1v9. So yeah, Dragon X can count on him. Yeah, that's the reason why they will be second. And yeah, they won't take a game. TOP is just better whole rounded. Jackie Love is performing at the moment. Yuyanja as well. While Deft and Curry are not performing very well. Hopefully, Deft will be doing better. Remember, he has had this back injury for the last couple of months, I think. So yeah, that's an understandable reason for his worst play. But yeah, we have to expect a bit more there for Dragon X to make waves in the tournament. But against FlyQuest and Mad Lions, like even Chovy alone should be completely enough, honestly. He's just so damn good. FlyQuest, like, their bot lane is okay, but they won't get edges in bot lane against Dragon X. Like Deft and Carrier, they're not popping off at the moment, but they're not inting either. Power of Evil is a really solid player, really good, but he's not like the world between him and Chovy. Santorin against Pioshik, yeah, like honestly speaking, Pioshik has better mechanics than him, but Santorin has better pathing and is more experienced. But we don't know what Pioshik has been up to for like the last month or so. So maybe he improved quite a bit. He's still young, so his learn curve is still there. And then even like with Chovy influencing the jungle, yeah, I don't see Santorin like majorly getting ahead and then impacting that the whole game. Doran against Solo. Yeah, like, I'm not on the Solo hate train or like flame train. I think he's okay, but yeah, okay is not great, and you have to be quite great to be able to beat Doran. Like, he's not bad. Like, just because he's losing against Kana, Keen, and so on, doesn't mean he's bad. Like, nearly every top laner in the world would be losing against these guys there. So yeah, don't underestimate him. He's just not world top class. He's just really good. Yeah, so FlyQuest, sorry, but you will be 4th place. Mad Lions, I have higher hopes for them. As I said, I really enjoy their bot lane. Kazi and Kaiser are like really good. They won't win a game against DRX and TOP, but I think they will beat FlyQuest in both games. So FlyQuest, sad quest, all 6 is what I think. But maybe by some like cool outplay in the late game team fight with an Orianna Shockwave from Centauran, they can win a game against Mad Lions. But I don't expect that. I think TOP first, Dragon X, Mad Lions, FlyQuest, and that means, so now for the quarterfinals, it's always the first in a group against the second in the next group. So first of Group A versus second in Group B, second in Group C against first in Group D. This would mean it's G2 against JDG, like first of A against second of B, Damwon versus Suning, Genji versus Dragon X, and LGD versus TOP. So this is just like really thrown in there. Like, I haven't seen play-ins, I haven't seen one single Worlds game, and I have no like we have leaked scrims and so on, but this just scrims, and these scrims were leaked like weeks ago, so I'm not sure if the teams are still on that level. So yeah, this is just like heavy speculation. Yeah, remember, if you're doing pick'em, you predict groups first, and then there's a separate pick'em for the bracket. So yeah, this is just speculation before the tournament, before even a single match was played. Like, Worlds will start in 2 days, I think. So yeah, this is with a heavy piece of grain salt. So yeah, I assume JDG will win against G2. It's just an assumption. I mean, I can talk about why I think that, right? Like Kanavi Gap, Zoom and Wander are like really good both, so no one will get a huge edge unless draft enables them to. Yagao is worse than Caps Heights, but Caps is not consistently on his heights, and even if Caps is better, Yagao like won't int against him. Loken and Lil Mao are like way better than Caps, the Perks, and Mickey X at the moment. So yeah, I just assume from what I think about the teams and about the players that JDG will be able to step up and win against G2. I'm not going to say they win 3-0 or 3-2, like that would be way too much. There's like no evidence for any of that. Damwon against Suning, I think Damwon wins. They have better players in every position, and that's always like a reason for me. If a team has better players in every position, the team should be better, and the team should be able to win. If the team isn't winning, if they have better players, then it's the team's fault and not the player's fault, right? What do I mean with that? So even if you're a worse player, you can win by better draft, cheese, luck, and so on, right? Like, let's call them outside interferences, right? The better player is the one who wins both sides of a matchup, or like wins mirror matchups, has better stats, and so on and so on. Right? That's the better player. The better player is, in my opinion, not always the most creative player. I think that's a totally different aspect, which is also important. Don't get me wrong, but figuring out like cheesy picks and having a good network to get to know like hidden OP picks, that's really good and all. But in my opinion, that's not what defines what's defining of a great player. A great player does that as well, but yeah, a game might be won or lost because of the strategy, but that doesn't mean that the fighter is bad, right? Like David against Goliath, right? Everyone knows that story. Probably Goliath is the better fighter, but David had a good strategy for this one scenario. Yeah, similar story in League. If you get a good draft, that makes you have the better coaches, right? Or like the better team setup, but you're not the better players. And yeah, I would value like the strategic aspect of League separate from the abilities, the skills of the players. They're like, let's call them mechanics, and they are macro, right? That's something different. And macro is also like a more team aspect, because we don't really know who is shot calling these calls. Like then maybe there's a team shot caller, but then like some specific calls are being made by entirely different people. So yeah, that's a bit difficult. I usually go for the team with better players, because I think the better players should also win. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of super teams, because I think like individual talent like maxed out at one spot, that's a good formula for success, right? And it's proven countless times. Even G2 is a living proof of that. Like they like bought the best players in Europe more or less, and then yeah, went with that. Regardless of that, I think Damwon wins against Tuning. As I said, better players in every position. Genji against Dragon X. Dragon X won 3-2, if you remember, and that's how they went to Worlds. But yeah, I'm not sure if Genji will let that happen again. As well as I'm not sure if Chovy can 1v9 again. Maybe by that point of time, like Pioshik has developed in and adapted to the world's meta. Doran is like Doran is still solid. Maybe Deft and Courier are on form again, right? Maybe Deft has recovered, and like playing so many games and scrimming so much, like he went back to his like usual form. Lander series looks very different. Then I think Dragon X has a really good chance. But if that's not happening, like if Deft and Curry are not back on their main form, like Curry is like probably the best mechanical support in the world at the moment. But if that's not happening, then Dragon X victory is also not happening. Genji is the more solid team, the more whole-rounded team. Genji wins against Dragon X in most games. And then finally, LGD versus TOP. As you might have noticed, I really like what JDG has. But yeah, we have to be a bit more realistic. Even Shie and Peanut don't have a chance against TOP. Carlson Knight are like better. I think Peanut is really good, but he's not as consistent as Karsa, and Karsa has a really unique carry playstyle, so I really like that. And Knight is better than Sheer 100%. And then the rest of the map. What was it? What was the top lane of LGD again? Langex, yeah, Langex and 369. Like that's interesting, but I think 369 is better. Kramer and Mark, I think, will play are worse than Jackie Love and Yuyanja. It's just a team gap, and yeah, TOP should have that. I think that's the 3-0 even. Yeah, not surprising. Yeah, so obviously the teams next to each other winning will then proceed to play against each other again. So that means it's JDG against Damwon and TOP against Genji. If I'm incorrect, then scrap all of that. This is theoretically in any case. So GDG against Damwon. Yeah. Wait, no, wait. JDG can't meet Damwon unless it's in the finals again. So I messed this up. This can't be happening. Then I'm not sure if it's like if it's random again. Yeah, I think it's drawn again. Yeah, I think back then, a few years ago, this was as I stated, so Group A against Group B and so on. But I think as of now it's drawn. Well then, yeah, then scrap all of that. Then let's just play more theoretically best of fives and don't mind them at all. So JDG against Dalmon, even a best of five. JDG has a good chance to win a game or two, maybe even two, right? But Dalmon, as I said before, should be better, even in the best of five format. Genji against TOP, on the other hand, really interesting, I think. While 369 and Karsa are better than Rascal and Clit, BDD is really strong, and even Knight shouldn't, even Knight is better, don't get me wrong, but even Knight shouldn't be able to mid-gap in too hard. And Ruler and Life against Jackie Love and Yuyanja, that would be a really interesting matchup. I would love to see. In my personal opinion, Jackie Love and Ruler are the best AD carries at Worlds at the moment, with Ruler being more consistent, on which I give him the edge. Yeah, that would be really interesting in this hypothetical scenario. I imagine TOP winning, just because of the X factor being Knight and the top lane winning for them. Then in my theoretical final, I have Damwon against TOP, and yeah, let's talk about matchups. Nagri against 369. I think Nagri is better. Canyon against Karsa. I think Canyon is better. Knight is better than against than Showmaker. Ghost and Barrel are worse than Jackie Love, Yuanya. Yeah. You would think I would favor top here, but actually I'm not. And why is that? Yeah, I think Damwon as a whole is a more solid team, and that's because they have a straight plan. So while TOP needs to play around 3 lanes, because Jackie Love wants to carry, he wants to go in, he wants to fight, he wants to push his leads and take enemy turret, right? He wants to overextend. Karsa needs attention because he's also playing a very, very aggressive playstyle. And if that's protected by a jungler, he looks like a god, but this could easily backfire if Karsa has to hard invest time in bot, which he's usually not doing. And also, the enemy team is often not good enough to punish a Knight. But this is now a world final scenario, in which I assume this is entirely possible to be punished by the enemy players. So Jackie Love has to turn it down, and I'm not sure if he is able to. He always played very aggressive whenever it made sense or not, and he was punished multiple times for it. like if it works, like he's playing really, really, like unimaginably damn well, right? Like he gets like so much out of the role, out of the champions. It's really insane. But yeah, if you're pushing and like playing like so aggressive with no support of your team, because Casa is like playing towards 369, so that he might get a lead against Nagari, then Jackie can be heavily punished by roaming Showmaker Nagari, roaming Showmaker Canyon. Also the mid lane duo, like Showmaker Knight, everyone is favoring Knight, and I can understand that he's a really talented player. I'm never going to take that away from him. But Showmaker shouldn't be underestimated. He's also a like really talented mid laner, and if it weren't for Shovi, I would say he's the best mid laner in the LCK at the moment. Like excluding Faker, obviously, because Faker is a whole another debate of a mid laner, right? He's a totally different player than the usual mid laner, and you have to evaluate what he brings to the game in a different sense. But yeah, we're not talking about Faker and Tower today. So yeah, in my opinion, Down One is the best team at Worlds, and as such, they should be the world champions. And yeah, getting the trophy back for Korea, and yeah, also yeah, every Korean team makes it out of groups again, not in first place, so it's not like last year, right, where every Korean team was first, and I also don't have every European team in second. In fact, I have most of them in third, barring G2, who will probably be first. But like even that, like there's a world where TL like gets their revenge for MSI, and like Suning is way stronger than everyone expect, right? No one's talking about Suning. Some people are talking about LGD because of Shia and Peanut, right? Well-known players. But SOFM, like he's the only Vietnamese player at Worlds. he has to show G2 how it's done, right? Remember Fangbu Buffalo 2-0ing G2 last MSI? Yeah, they were the true MSI champions. But yeah, don't want to talk way too much about this again. But yeah, we will see what will happen in playoffs, and then later at the 3rd of October, with World starting, like the first match. What was it again? Let me think about it. First match, I think it was G2 playing. No, it's the first match of Worlds. FlyQuest against TOP, TS, like top esport. Then we get two matches we don't know about. Then Down One against JDG and TSM Fnatic at the last. So we see TOP, Dragon X, JDG, Down One, Genji, and the TSM Fnatic game at the first day. Like this will be really awesome, man. Yeah. So yeah, that's enough of me. Talked way too much again. Hope you all have a great day anyway. Yeah, see you around.